Hello and welcome to We Are All Hostages EP3, and this week we are talking with Romi Cohen, who is the twin sister of Nimrod Cohen. And Romi, if you could introduce yourself for us.
Hi, I'm Romy. I'm 20 years old. I live in Israel, in Rehovot, and I'm the twin sister of Nimod Cohen. And um, I'm here to talk about him, to tell you about him, to share my experience on October 7th. And since it's been almost a year now, and I'm here to send a message about the hostages and why we need to bring them back as fast as possible, and we need to do everything we can. And hopefully this will help bring them home, and that I could see my brother again and live a normal life, and so he will live a normal life, and so we could save his life and put an end to this nightmare.
And well, you're Nimrod's twin sister, so you've been around him pretty much your entire life. And what was your guys' relationship? Being twins.
So we really were together all the time. We're best friends. I always say that he's my best friend for life because he's known me even before we were born, and we were always together. We weren't in the same class together at first, but then in high school we were in the same class, and there was even a time that we sat in the same table, one next to each other, and we are very different people in our personalities, but we had this connection that I have with no one else in my life, and you can't understand it unless you're there. Um, we always played together. We had Playmobil when we were kids, and we played for hours, just the two of us. And it's a person, for me, he is a person who knows everything about me. He knows all the people I know. We used to gossip about people that we only the two of us know because we've been together the whole time. And it's something that is really special, that someone that you go through every period in life together. And we were always two for me. I don't know what it's like to be one because my whole life, everything I did, we did at the same time. And um, now I feel it a lot. A lot in a different way because he's not with me. But my whole life we were two, and it's something that this is my experience. This is what I know. Um, and it's a really special relationship because is someone that I know that I can be 100% myself, who knows 100% of who I am, and the same goes the other way. Um, and as I said before, we were always together. This is what I know. I don't have a single memory from my childhood that he's not a part of. Um, and and he's really everything for me, really.
And what are some of your favorite memories of you together with Nimrod?
So we used to travel together. We were in the same traveling group. It's like kind of a youth group that we were in together, and we used to travel together. Also, when we were visiting our grandparents, we always played in the yard, just the two of us. And wow, there's so many memories because he's always there. But it could be anything. It could be playing, like I said, playing Playmobil or Legos. Um, it could be, as I said, traveling, studying together. I remember I taught him some of the subjects and he taught me too. And also the fact that we're so different made it so good because we completed each other. And I remember on weekends when, like at noon, our parents like were resting, and we we played a lot of games, like things that only the two of us can do because we were in the same age, and we had like the same we like the same stuff. and it's really like a friend for life because you're always in the same place. Um, yeah, that's it.
And what really got Nimrod into Rubik's cubes?
So 6 months before he was kidnapped, he was really bored in weekends because in the army, you don't in the weekends you don't do much when you're not at home, and he was looking for a hobby to for something that could entertain him, that could uh, help him like spend the time, and then he just tried it and he really liked it and he was really good at it. And for us, that's something that we when we think of him because that's what he did and he was really really good at too.
What other kind of passions and hobbies did Nimrod have or has?
So there's the Rubik's cube, as you said, and traveling too. He really liked it. When we were traveling, we it was like kind of a camping, but you only sleeping in sleeping bags and you make fire and you cook in nature, and Nimrod was the one who was making fire. Like everyone has their own role, and this was his, and he was really really good at it, and we always knew that we could count on him and that he will do the job right. So that's what he used to do. um, and he liked that, and he also liked working out. He used to do it a lot. We went running every time he was home. Um, and yeah, I guess there's more stuff, but that's what comes up to mind right now.
But I've also seen your father has shown me like a lot of vacation photos too of all of you, and so where have all you guys been like on vacation through the world? Because I've seen like China, I think, and some other cold places too during winter.
Yes, we were in Europe. Most of the times we were in Europe. We were in Greece, in China. The cold places in the Czech Republic. It was snowing there. We were traveling a lot. Like every year or two, we went abroad and we traveled. That's something we used to do as a family. And this whole year, we haven't done it as a family. We were only in delegations to talk about Nimrod and the whole hostage situation. And that's something that's missing too. Also, the holidays. We don't have holidays now. Um, and well, we feel it every day, but in the holidays, it's like a slap in the face because we our family is not whole, it's not complete. We can't celebrate. There's nothing to celebrate until it's back. Um, so yes.
What would you when have you ever imagined the moment that when Nimrod comes back? What would you imagine that being like? Just have you ever thought about it, like the day when he comes back?
So I think about it all the time. I also dream about it, and um, if I'm being honest, it really scares me because I know he's not going to come back the same person that he was a year ago. It's been a whole year, and it's scary because we've been through so much since, and he has been through so much since, and I don't know what it's going to be like, but of course I'm so I'm going to it excites me to think about it, and I'm so waiting for it and hoping it will be as soon as possible. um but in my mind I know that it's going to be a new beginning of something that we're going to have to go through together, because now he's still there and he's going through all of this alone, and when he comes home it won't be it won't be easy, but at least we'll be there with him. But I have to keep thinking that he's going to come back and to be optimistic, because this what helps me go on and do stuff and not sit all day and wanna, I don't know, do nothing, because it's really hard. It's hard to live like that, knowing that he's there and that I'm here and I can't physically help him.
Yeah, I mean, so when you were in past delegations, all that, how many different countries did you go to with your father?
So I was in Rome with the Pope, and in Canada and Seattle, and I was a part of the young delegation in New York. We were in the UN. And yeah, we try to do as much as we can. My father and my brother, they were in many delegations since, and I hope this helps. I hope that we can get to any person we can and spread the message and spread the word. So the world won't forget, and also take action, because I feel like a lot of the time people are like sympathizing with us, and that's really not what we need. Not anymore anyways, because it's been a year, and hugs and prayers are just not enough. Not now. We need action.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a really good message which you have here very much. And since you'll soon be also in the United States again, I mean, what do you think your new message will be compared to when you were in last year or earlier this year?
So I think now we are more we're not nice as we were, because I I feel like now when people ask me about Nimrod, they want me to tell about him. I feel like, it doesn't matter anymore, because he needs to come home, and it doesn't matter what he likes to do, or what kind of person he is. Of course, I have a lot of things to say, and he's an amazing person, and I want him home, but the bottom line is that it's been a year, and his uh chances of surviving there are dropping as days go by, and we need to stop being so polite and being so like, yeah, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna work out, because it's not. We've seen it a few weeks ago, that it's not. You can do everything you can, everything that is in your power, and speak everywhere and talk to everyone, but at the end of the day, they weren't saved. And honestly, that scares me the most, and I feel like we have to stop being nice. We have to stop asking and praying and hugging, because this is about life, about saving lives, and we need to do everything we can as fast as possible, and not just think it's going to be okay. So I guess the message is that we need to take action as fast as possible and do everything that we can, everything that is in our power to do.
Would you rather say, because again, you said, you've been around, you brought who Nimrod is, you've had a lot of sympathy, all things like that. Would you much rather people and organizations, instead of just giving you sympathy, just take action and just pretty much push for whatever that action is, which is a deal, it is really? Would you much rather people have. What also another thing too, and I'm going off on something else, but why do you think why do you think people in general, when they heard your story before, why do you think they weren't more wanting to take action after, just in general? Because you've been around the world, you have, and action has not been taken enough. It hasn't. Would you happen to guess why? Like, if you were to guess.
I feel like maybe they don't believe enough in their influence, and maybe they haven't tried enough. Maybe they when they heard our stories, they were touched, and they felt sorry for us, and they wanted to help, but when it comes to action, they just weren't there. They didn't want it enough, maybe. Or maybe they did do whatever they could, but they weren't consistent at it. So it wasn't enough. And also, I feel like as time goes by, we need to be creative, to think of new ways to do something to help. And it's hard, it's difficult. I'm not asking for someone to do the impossible. I'm just asking for something that will put enough pressure, and it could even be the little things like like the citizens of the US can just call the White House and be consistent on in it and tell them we want the hostages back, we want a deal. And also in Israel people could do that, like the protests, everything. Even if it's small, you need, first of all, you need to be consistent at it, and also you need to do it and do as much as you can. And I feel like maybe it's not enough. And also I do appreciate what people do, because people do a lot, and it means so much. But I guess that it's not enough because they're not there yet. And I'm also saying about myself, I feel like I'm not doing enough, and we can always do more, we can always improve. But I guess it hasn't happened yet because we haven't done 100% of what we can.
And I want to talk a bit about your dad, because your dad, Yehuda, I think, since I've known him, I think he's one of the most inspiring men who I've ever met, because I've never seen a father fight so hard for his son pretty much it's every day, kind of nonstop. Like, can you talk to you as his daughter pretty much how all the work your dad is doing, how that makes you feel?
Well, first of all, it makes me proud because he's really doing so much, and I've grown to know a new side of him that I didn't know, because we weren't in this situation before. But I feel like this what needs to happen. We need to do everything we can, and he's really doing it. And I agree with you. He's really inspiring. I wish I had the powers to do that and the energy to keep pushing and not giving up. Um, but that's because it's his son, and he wants his son to come back, to come home, to be safe. And every day they can come knock on our door and tell us that it's over. And until that day, hopefully won't happen, because we really believe that we can bring Nimrod home. But until then, we're gonna do everything we can, and that's what my father's doing. And I wish people were more like this and push more, and put yourself in our shoes. And if it were your son, what would you do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and how was it? Because this is actually because you met the Pope, and I didn't even know that. How was that meeting with the Pope?
Uh, First, it was a long time ago. Um, it didn't feel so special. It didn't feel like it had much effect on him. Um, Also, the meeting was really short. Not everyone in the room got a chance to talk, but I feel like it wasn't really significant. I've had better meetings with other people.
Do you think the way all the meetings have been kind of for a while now, because there's a lot of, it feels like they're very short in general. Do you think if they were kind of longer, like there could be more impact with those you meet?
Perhaps I think it depends on the person, but yes, maybe we need more time, and maybe we need to keep those meetings on, not just one meeting. Maybe uh, once in a while, and also a few families of hostages, like not only one. And also, it's a relationship, um, like the president of the U.S. He has a relationship with the American families of the hostages, and it's something that builds. First of all, it builds trust, and also when you know someone, you kind you it makes more sense that you're going to want to help them, and you feel them, and you don't just look at the person and say, wow, well, I need to bring his son back. You know the person and you want to help them because it it's easier to want to help when you care. And when you don't know someone, you can't care enough to do something. So I guess that's also a part of it.
Yeah, and if you basically had a complete choice of people you could meet or who you think could actually influence things, who would those people be?
I think, first of all, every person with power, if it's many followers on the media, people that other people go after and follow them. So it could really help to raise the awareness and talk about this subject. And also people that have power in politics and in making decisions. And for example, uh, okay, I don't have an example, but many people that can actually change things and can actually make a decision and take action that can influence everything that's going on. And I guess that could really help. Even though I think that everyone can help, because if there's a single person who isn't working in the government or doesn't have many people that he can influence, still when you get all these people together, they have great power. So everything, really everything can help.
Yeah, I mean that is actually a great point because basically I met your father back in July. I did pretty much doing this independent delegation, and the delegation was put together in all the meetings by us and people who don't do politics pretty much, and we all managed to kind of make it happen. And that really also taught me that you can really make things happen. You just have to be stubborn enough and willing enough to basically do that. And sometimes some people at time they tell in the US, they tell families or they tell people who want the hostages home to not call for a deal because that gets too political. As someone like yourself who doesn't want to get much into politics, do you think it's political to call for a hostage deal?
Absolutely not. It's about people's lives. It's about saving those people. It has nothing to do with politics, and it shouldn't be. And I think that the only people who make it a politics issue are the politicians, and it shouldn't be. We should all ask for one thing because it's the only sensible thing to ask for, to get these people back. What is political about that? We just want to save them. That's the obvious thing to do. That's what we should do. And these people, they got kidnapped because they weren't protected, because those terrorists took them and killed other people and raped. And this is about common sense that we need to get them home. It's not political to ask for a deal, because asking for a deal is only asking to save those people's lives, and that is not politics. That's just saving them, and we have to ask for it. We have to do it, and we can't wait for something to happen, because if we don't ask for a deal, they won't come home.
Do you feel like we're getting closer to a deal right now or further away?
I feel like it's hard to tell. For me, it's hard to tell because I I don't believe anymore what I hear, because every time they say, "Oh, we're close to a deal," and you get your hopes up, but then no. So I try not to think about it, because it only makes it harder for me, and I just hope that we are, and I hope that everyone is doing their best and that we are one step closer. But I know in my heart that we're probably not, because it doesn't feel like we are. And I'm more focused on what I can do rather than what the decision making people are doing, because I feel like they're not doing enough. So I don't know if we're closer to a deal. I feel like we're not really. Um, and that's hard. And I hope that I will have some effect on it if I can do something.
Yeah, I mean, it's. But with all the protests which are. How is it since you're young, you're around 20 years old, and you're around as a young Israeli? It's like, how do they feel actually about the whole situation? Like the protests, the lack of a deal so far? How is the youth in Israel feeling about everything?
Um, so I guess one of the issues is that not only young people, also everyone, that it's easy to just forget about it and be focused in put our focus on our daily problems and just our routine, like if we had a fight with a friend, or if we're in a hurry to work, and it's hard it's hard to keep this issue on our minds uh, in a daily basis. And I think that the protests are really important. The protests we have every weekend to remind us and to let us spend a few hours uh, when all of our focus is on this issue, and being a part of this big thing of trying to bring them back. And I feel like they really care. They really want to help, and it it makes me feel like we're not alone, because it's hard to know that we don't have enough power to make the decisions and bring a deal. Um, so we're really dependent on people that come and support us and are just there to to call out for a deal. And I feel like people, they do come, they do care. A lot of my friends come, and a lot of my friends are there even when I'm not there. And I think it's a bigger issue. It's not just my brother that needs to come home. It's so many people that need to come home, and it's so much bigger than that, because it's just saving all of them. and and everyone just knows it's a humanitarian things. They're humans and they need to be home and safe, and that's it.
And what would you? There's some people, especially online, that say the protests help Hamas. What's your response to that?
I think that's a very stupid thing to say, because that's not true. I mean, of course Hamas wants to divide us, and they want us to fight, and they know that the protests are something that not everyone agrees with. But that's not true, because our purpose is to put pressure on our government, and at the end of the day, that's what it's doing. And I don't think that divides us. I think it actually brings all of people together for one purpose, and that's a very uniting thing. And I don't think that helps Hamas, because maybe they want us to fight with our government, but they don't want the hostages to come home. And that's what we want. So I don't think that's what it is. And I don't think that has anything to do with Hamas, because the protests are against the government. They're against the fact that the government hasn't brought them home yet. And that's its focus. So bringing Hamas to the picture has nothing to do with it, because obviously we are all against Hamas, and these protests are also not they're not supporting them. So I don't think that's a that's a right thing to do. It's like two things that are not connected.
Yeah, and most I've seen like most Israelis and the Poles want a hostage deal. They do. So it's very. I mean, see, Israelis don't agree on much usually, but there's one thing where most Israelis agree on. We're kind of to your point where it is actually very uniting. It is, and if you had a message for Nimrod, basically right now, that could get to Nimrod while he's still held in the tunnels, what would you tell him if he was able to see you right now?
Um, so first of all, I want to tell him that I love him so much and I miss him and I think about him every second of every day and I want him to stay strong because right now I can't help him, but he has to help himself and to stay strong and survive. And we're doing everything we can, and we won't stop until he's back. And we we really really miss him, really really miss him, and we will do everything, whatever it takes, to bring him home. And I hope I could hug him again, hopefully soon, and this will be over. So just don't give up, and we'll meet soon.
Yeah, it's. I'm sorry I'm pausing because it's very moving and touching, and I do feel like this is how I feel. I feel like if the world and more people could be like the Israeli protesters, pretty much all pushing for a deal, like we could be closer to one. We could. I mean, if you even had control, I don't know control, but if you could influence the American public in any way, like what would you tell them to do apart from just writing letters to the White House?
So there's also protests in the US uh, that you can take a part of, and just everything that can raise the awareness. Also online in social media, raising the awareness, talking about the subject, because people forget. As I said, it's easy to just go on with your life and put this issue behind, but we can't because these people are still there and they're struggling to survive, and we have the power to do something. I think the the understanding that we have the power, that we can change something, it's a really big thing to know, to put in mind. and and I think that everything we can do, even the little things, really everything that we can do, and every connection we can use, every pressure we could put, really everything could help. And we can't forget it. We can just stop, because the reality shows that it's not enough what we've done so far. So please be with us, and don't forget them. And they're just humans, and I'm just a person who wants my brother back, and I want my life to be normal again. And it's hard every morning, getting up to waking up to the reality that he's not home yet, and that his room is empty. And every time I go by his room, and I think how insane this is, that he hasn't slept in his bed for a year, and he hasn't seen his family for a year. And I just I miss life, I just feel like this isn't life, not what he's going through and not what we are going through. And these people don't deserve it. The hostages don't deserve it. And we just have to save them. We have to. We have to do everything we can.
What are your hopes since you'll be in the US really soon? You will again with your entire family. And is this the first time that all your family have been somewhere together, or is it normally separate?
Yes, it's the first time. Until now, we were separated.
And what are your hopes, pretty much, for this trip this time? Because it's very different than the past times, the situation.
So first, I hope that when the people we meet, when they see us, first they will understand that this situation is not something that is so far in the Middle East and that it has nothing to do with them, because this is, as I said, a humanitarian issue. And I hope when they see us, they will see that every poster that they see of a hostage is is more than just a poster, more than just a name. It's a story, it's a family, it's a face, and it has emotions, and that will really touch them. And more than that, I hope that they will care enough to do something, and they will actually do it. They will actually take action, and also, as I said at the beginning, stop being nice, stop being polite, because it's not helping. It's just not helping. It's not enough. We need them to take action and to do everything they can and to push the buttons that will move something and ask for a deal, because we need a deal. And the reality shows, history teaches us that the most hostages that came back were from the last deal that was so many months ago. And that's the only safe way to bring the hostages home. And that's what we need to do. And we have to we have to put that in mind and do something, because we can really have an effect on it. And I hope that the people we meet will really remember it and listen to us and feel like they need to do something and not just say, we're with you, because they're not with us if they're not doing anything. And we need them. We're here to be the voice of Nimrod, who can't speak, who can't really live like normal person, and we have to save them, because once we don't, there's no going back. And I know that now, when it's still not over, we're gonna do everything, and we need other people to join us.
Well, thank you, Romy, for speaking with us, and I will keep it. We will be able to keep everyone updated next week, pretty much when you guys will be in the US, and yeah, basically asking everyone to pay attention. And thank you so much.